Welcome to Voices. My name is Augustine Ambe, and you are?
Roger Sako.
In our last show, we talked about Honorable Wiba. And in talking about Honorable Wiba, we're looking forward. We're looking to how we move the process forward, how we move our revolution forward. And like we also mentioned in that show, as we try to move our revolution forward, we must always look behind and see if there are any holes that we should plug. Because if we are trying to fill that container and we're not plugging the holes, we'll never fill that container. So if we're trying to get to Boya and we are not taking care or talking about those who are distracting that journey, then, we'll make one step forward and make two steps backward and we'll never get to Boya. And so today, we are going to take some time and talk about some of the actors in the field right now that are necessitating the invitation of people like Wiba to come and be part of our struggle. And in talking about that, Roger, there's an article, there's a write-up. This write-up was really published by Beretta News. And I got hold of it and I took a look at it and this is something that we need to talk about. And I'm going to read it before we get into it. So this was published by Beretta News. It was written by the acting president. And then here's what the acting president wrote. He said, "As your acting president, I want to remind you that I did not campaign to join the IG. I did not attend a single conclave to vie for a single position in the revolution. I enjoyed working hard for this revolution as an activist on the periphery. His Excellency Sako is the one person that brought me into the government from outside into the inside of the revolution. For that, I owe him a mentor's gratitude. Then I became your acting president again without any kind of political campaign. I served from within and from without, willingly and readily, not knowing I was such an inspiration to many until my nomination and subsequent vote into office. As acting president, I was not appointed, I was voted. I am therefore persuaded that because I did not fight to get here, why should I fight anyone to preserve myself here? Never. Hence, anyone fighting to push yours truly out of here is fighting against the hand that brought me here. I can proudly assert here and now that I am not a power monger." Dr. Samuel Sako, acting president. So that is what Beretta News published, and that was what was written by the acting president. Tell me what you think.
Well, those are his words, and it is true that he was picked by Sako to be part of the government or the cabinet that he had put in place. And he himself said that he had never attended any conclave or anything like that. So I don't know what to make of that statement. I don't know if he's saying that he was just somebody who just stayed back and did his common sense, Dr. Common Sense, and then he was picked up. We don't want to go back and begin to question the decisions that Sako made. But my hope is that if you have been picked, whether in what capacity, and we know that every one of us, every single one of us is called upon to come and serve this revolution in whatever shape or form. And if you have been given that benefit to serve in a position of leadership, it is an honor and it is not a right. It is not something that you can sit and begin to brag about that as if you were some kind of a special person. And then he talks about the power of the hand that brought me here. Those are those religious connotations that make people believe that it was some kind of a divine intervention. No, if you were called upon, you have, whether you were prepared for it or not, and that divine intervention then came and projected you to that position where you are. What you have to do now is to prove your worth, is to prove that you can lead the people and deliver the people. And if for any reason you feel that you are not able to meet that obligation, it behooves on you to take a step back and say, no, even though you guys called upon me to do this job, so there are some of the things in this job that I don't feel competent to, and there will be nothing wrong with that.
No.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I believe you will be doing the revolution a great service if you took that position, instead of saying, well, I was just called upon and it was some kind of a divine intervention that I find myself here. To me, that is a problem, because we have to serve this revolution to make this revolution successful, and not because we feel that we have a right to be in some kind of a capacity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I mostly agree with what you've said, but I kind of want to go a little more line by line. I think you addressed the big points that he addressed, but I want to go line by line so that we because this is not for somebody to write something like this and publish, it's something that he's been thinking about for a long time. This is not something that he just woke up one day and thought about. And I think he's been thinking about it because of what he's been confronting, the things that have been coming, the issues that have been coming to his table, and how he's been handling them. And maybe he's responding to the responses to his actions. You know what I'm saying? So I decided that let me just take a look at it. He starts by saying, I want to remind you, meaning that there's some facts that he needs to state. And he believes that those facts, we should be thinking about them. You know, he says, His Excellency Sako is the person who brought me into the government. You know, when I read that statement, right, it brought me back to what we've been talking about since, we started seeing their dysfunction and their destructive value right from within. We gave them 3 months. And because we know people in the struggle, we started seeing what was in the background that was not working for the revolution before we started talking about it. And that's when we started questioning this whole government thing, remember?
Yeah.
So he wants to remind us that he did not choose to be part of revolution. He was not that interested. That's why he didn't go to the conclave.
Yeah.
He was not that interested. He's never asked for anything. You know what I'm saying? So that is what he's saying. He said he was picked, and that is the government thing that we've been talking about. Let me ask you this: do you think the ANC would just sit somewhere and pick somebody who is not interested, has not attended some of their very big meetings, to go and be to become their Oliver Tambo?
No.
When Nelson Mandela is put in jail?
No, because then you don't know what you're going to get.
You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's what the man is reminding us.
Yeah.
That, hey, you should have been smarter in picking me because I never really showed that much interest, but you decided to pick me anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he is right. And
no, he is right.
Yeah, and that is why sometimes I say we get what we deserve.
Yes.
Because, and you touch on that issue of the government, which we have opposed from the very beginning.
Yes.
Because every time you have a government, then people start to want to play politics and protect their positions and defend whatever they believe some other people wants to take away from them.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
Because now he feels that if we come here and question some of the things that he is not doing or he is doing, then the reason we are doing that is because we want to take his position or we want him out.
No, yes, that's one.
Yes, and he does not.
But I'm saying no because we're going to come to that.
Yeah.
But you're addressing it too far in front. Because right now, I really want us to first of all take the man is saying that you are complaining about me. I did not ask you to choose me. Or you did not choose me. I was chosen by Sako.
Yeah.
I did not ask for the job and they chose me. So don't blame me for it. I didn't promise you anything, so don't expect anything from me.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and like you use that South African example.
Yes.
So we cannot go and pick people when you don't know those people and you don't know what to expect, and that is why that tunnel metaphor that you use in our last show, running people through the system,
Yes.
and growing them from the system.
Yes.
You know exactly what you're going to get when you get that person at the top, because you have seen that person in action at every single level of the structure of the organization, or in meetings or in things like that.
Yes, and that's a process where you test them, you test their commitment, you test their ability to deliver, you test their staying power. You test their ability. I mean, you put them through the grind, so to speak, and see whether they would. There's this thing in computer where it said garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, what you put in is what you get out.
I just wanted us to go line by line, because I can tell you that this man scrutinized every single line of what he put in there. He met every single word. So the next thing I took note of, he says, he owes Sako gratitude. If you are appointed in an organization, they will be happy that they have an opportunity to serve that organization. You know what I'm saying? He is giving his gratitude to Sako. That one is like for mentoring him. But he follows with something else which I think we should also consider. I became your acting president again without any kind of political campaign. This man keeps trying to remind us that when I was appointed, I did not even attend some of your centralized, your key meetings, and where I did not attend your Ngumba house. I was not a member of your Ngumba house, but you chose to give me your whole house. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Then the next one he says, then I became the owner of the Ngumba house. I didn't campaign for it. I didn't do anything. People went and sat and selected me to be the head of the Ngumba house. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
So he is saying, I did not promise you anything in any of these appointments. I was such an inspiration to many until my nomination and subsequent vote into office. So he's saying you must have liked what you were seeing. You must have liked what you were seeing without me necessarily going out to show it. You must have just liked who I am and what I do, and everything about me was what you like, and that's how come you picked me. So you shouldn't be complaining now because I haven't changed. Are you with me on this?
I am. I'm following.
Okay. Then he says, but I want us to wait here. I want us to let's go back. I agree with him. On all these statements, he's correct.
It's 100% correct.
Yes. So Sako chose him. Now he brings this one that I was voted in. I did not campaign. I didn't do anything. He is right in all of those, but in each of them, it is not him. It is the process.
Correct.
With the first one, we said it is the government thing that made Sako decided that I want to bring people, I want an inclusive, I just want Ambazonians. And we've already said in our last show, they did not care whether those Ambazonians are pan-Cameroonese or federalists or whatever, or separatists. Just as long as you're an Ambazonian, they brought you in. And he's saying, so what you see is what you get. All right? So he says that he not campaigned, and he's correct again, Pa. So Sako appointed him because of the government thing. Why do you think he was voted in?
That question, because it is difficult. The only way I can go with that question, because I had made reference in one of our shows before. I know that he was under Secretary for Foreign Affairs. And if you are going to put somebody at the helm, you want to at least see some kind of a track record. What has he done? What has he succeeded to do? Or what are the initiatives that he is working on? Because the first thing that he did when he came in was to criticize the diplomatic process. That was the wrong approach that Sako and the others had taken, and he was going to move away from that. Remember, I had pointed out...
You mean when he became the AP?
Yes.
Okay.
I had said this is somebody who was the Undersecretary for Foreign Affairs. So I assume he sat there and did not do anything, or maybe because he saw that the thing it is not something that he believed in, but he probably never raised it to anybody.
No, I don't think he has. Has he told you that he was a diplomat, or that he has the ability to be a diplomat?
I just want us to take it, because you asked me how did he make it.
Yes.
So I am trying to tell you that because if you look at where he was coming from, he did not offer anything.
No.
But I know from some conversations, because when we come and say things here, we are privy to some background information that a lot of people out there don't have.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And sometimes you cannot blame people who make decisions or express opinions based on very limited information.
Yes.
So that's why sometimes we don't judge people.
Yes.
But this idea of the northern zone and the southern zone, what La République brought in to divide us, is, in my opinion, how this gentleman found himself. Because they did not pick him based on anything that he has proven himself that he can do, or that he has done anywhere. The only reason is that we have to pick somebody from the southern zone. And that if we are going to build a country and be successful with that country, people have criticized you and I here. Somebody wrote to us and we read it on air here.
Yes.
Saying that we were tribalistic people. You are from Bafut, I am from Babanki, and that is why we oppose Sako and the rest. And we addressed that. My parents spent a lot of money to educate me and to educate you. And that education that I got, I cannot waste it on looking at somebody, where somebody comes from, and not what that person is able to do in order to determine if that person can serve or not. So I believe that we have to pick people based on what they have proven that they can do, and not where they come from. Because that is what is killing us, and that is what has killed La République today. Because they pick people, somebody who has never done anything, and they put him somewhere, and he comes and he ruins the whole place down. And that is why you cannot be surprised why for 1 year, because it's exactly 1 year since he took over this revolution, that this revolution is where it is today. It is as a result of putting a round hole in a square peg in a round hole.
Thank you. I think I was waiting for you to come there. So when you were exploring the diploma, what he has accomplished before, no, and you say it as though you were speculating. Look, when Sako was selected, there was a 3-person group that was supposed to be holding that position at the time. Remember, there was Harmony Bobga, Barrister Harmony Bobga, and then there was Sako the other person.
I know Bobga was there.
Yes. But this and they were elected by what they call country heads, and I have been told by some of the country heads that Sako was specifically selected because he was from the southwest region, and so I was glad when you landed there. You know what I'm saying? That was why he was selected. And I don't want to repeat anything you've already said, Pa, because that is what has killed us. It is nepotism, tribalism, regionalism that is killing us. And you are right that it has also killed La République, and that's why La République remains a colony of the French till today. They're not even fighting anymore. What they're fighting for now is which region or which tribal man is going to become next. They're not even looking at competency. So yes, Sako was selected because he was from the southwest region, and that was sad. And so we're paying the price for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're paying the price for that. The other thing that he said was, why should I fight anyone to preserve myself here? Is that a good question he asked?
Well, it's a terrible question, because if you think that it is, because I think that if you come to serve a people, you should not be looking at preserving yourself, maintaining the status quo. You should be evaluating yourself and asking yourself, am I doing what I am supposed to do for the people and the revolution? you should not be struggling to preserve yourself or to maintain yourself and to maintain the status quo. You should be asking yourself, every day that I get up, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Are the people around me or the people I'm putting in places, are they doing what they are supposed to do to keep this revolution going forward? Because we know what he has actually done is that the people that come and advise him, and he does not like the advice, or he looks for yes people, so they call them, people who are going to come along and do whatever. They will not disagree with him. Those are the people that he looks for. So he purges those who have been doing what Sako put in place, and brings in
his own people.
The people who are not going to question.
Most of them Reverend Fathers and Reverend Pastors.
Not Reverend Fathers.
Reverend Pastors.
Well, we can take an example from what Secretary of Finance came out the other week and said, because it stands to this confusion that some of the things that we have been saying is now coming out.
They're coming to surface. Yes,
because there is war from within now.
Yes.
Everybody, they are going after each other. So as a result of that, some of the things that we have been saying all along are now coming to the surface.
And some of the dysfunction of the structure that we set to free ourselves is manifesting itself now.
Yes, and the problem is that our people are not paying attention to it.
No, they're not.
Or the surrogates, as they call themselves, are staying away from that part of the problem. Because Sako had put in place the treasury and people who were supposed to be a signatory were, and this and that. I know some of those people resigned, and they resigned quietly because of some of the things that he was doing. Now, thanks to Tabenya, we know now that there are people who are everywhere, dipping left and right and going back and forth. And the people now have to ask themselves, based on that information, if these people are sincerely working to advance the cause for which all of us have signed up for.
So the question again is, why should I fight anyone to preserve myself here? That question can go both ways. And if you look at why if he was really interested in our liberation and feel the way he feels, right? That he is not the most qualified person. He just said, I really should not. I want to give this position for somebody who can actually free these people.
Yeah.
All right? But if he wants to ask me, I would say the reason he's fighting to preserve himself there is, I wrote some here, the money coming in. The money coming in is one of the reasons, because he did not do the right thing, or he did not look by asking those questions. He was asking those questions at the beginning that I did not show anything for you to pick me. I did not show anything for anybody to vote me. So if he was somebody who was really interested in the revolution and that he was not qualified, he should said, you know what, I really don't think I deserve this position.
Yeah, I mean, after the people had picked him and he accepted to serve, and then you've gone in there and you've seen all the intricacies, and you know that no, this thing is above me, I think you can,
you don't have the ability.
Yes, you don't have the ability.
Yes.
Then an honest person will go back to these people and say, no, I think I made a mistake accepting this thing.
Yes.
Or I can be the figurehead, and you people put.
No, we don't need to be the figurehead, but we want people who work.
No, I'm just trying to look for something on which I can hang my hat on.
Yes, you won't find it in this situation, because the man, we're not speculating. He came out and said it, and like I said before, he's saying it because of the pushback that he's getting. Okay, so he's trying to respond to that feedback. That look, I was just sitting here doing my thing, and all these things happened to me. And there's one that you touched very well, that he is saying he's trying to evoke some eminent reason why he's there. Mm-hmm. I think you were very right there, but I'm still coming to that. Mm-hmm. But in the question that why should I fight anyone to preserve myself here? Well, he's saying from what you alluded to, he's fighting to preserve himself there because he was chosen by God to be there. You know what I'm saying?
And he cannot go against God.
Yeah, he cannot go against God, and it has nothing to do with his performance or any goals that we're trying to accomplish. But other people look at him. I personally can say the reason you're fighting to preserve yourself is not because of God, because God does not want Ambazonians to fail. I think you're trying to preserve yourself because of the money coming in, because your bills that are being paid, and because of the influence and attention from people like Musonge. Have you heard of Musonge communicating with him all the time? Did you get that from inside? So he is there. He's not there doing our job. You know, I have a piece here that's written by they call themselves Cameroon Intelligence, but it's really, and I want to read that piece because they said certain things which are important. This piece is published by, I'm going to read the name first, by Sota Ta Agbo Ebai. I think he's with, you know which newspaper he's with? Is it The Guardian?
I think it's Cameroon News or Cameroon.
Yes. But he titles it Acting President Sako's Leadership, the Emblem of Southern Cameroon's Suffering and Pain. Okay, and he kind of, so Sako gave his own story, right? This is what an independent journalist actually wrote. Is looking from outside with an objective view. He said, before acting President Sako Ikome took over control of the Southern Cameroon's interim government, the Ambazonian resistance was well organized and had the active participation of Southern Cameroons from the Republic of South Africa, Nigeria, Europe, the Scandinavian countries, the US, and Canada. We had one authoritative television channel, a sea of refined Southern Cameroonian elites supporting the interim government with ideas and money, and the participation on ground zero exceeded that of the ANC in the apartheid South Africa. He said, if that trend would have been allowed to continue, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia would have long been a reality similar to South Sudan. Cameroon Concord News, so it's with Cameroon Concord. Cameroon Concord News Group estimate that the Southern Cameroon interim government had more than $250,000 after interim President Sako Ayok Tabe made a tour of Europe and the US. After the abduction and extradition of President Sako Ayok Tabe and his top aides, a Cameroon Concord News Group investigation of the interim government under Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako found out that auditing reports of the Ambazonian interim government has been kept secret due to Ambazonian unity interests. Even after the emergence of the acting President Sako, the Southern Cameroon's interim government received thousands of dollars from the Ambazonian diaspora in the US and Canada, including Europe, without any serious demand for accountability. The present state of the Southern Cameroon's revolution is a grim affirmation that becoming the acting president of the Southern Cameroon's interim government did nothing to change Dr. Sako's old Calabar habits. Do you know what that is, Calabar habits?
Just keep going.
I want to skip this part. And I think there's one more paragraph on this. The rapidly growing frustration, very visible division deep within the interim government includes the hiring of private cars and paying of private bills for acting President Ikome Sako, while most Southern Cameroonians live in dismal conditions on ground zero, has started to threaten Dr. Sako's leadership of the Ambazonian interim government. So you see why I said he wrote that. It's because of some of these things that this gentleman is talking about. You know, he is writing that because of these threats. So he's saying, hey, don't be threatening me. I did not ask for this to be given to me. And don't be threatening me. I did not campaign to be president, but I must have been doing something, just being me, which people like for them to elect me. And so I am going to stay here because there's an eminent hand that has come to bring me here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And, you know, what we try to do here, that this gentleman, you call him, is Ena Ebai.
Mm-hmm.
So he is not from Bafut and he is not from Babanki. But he is a Southern Cameroonian who believes in this revolution like you and I and wants this revolution to succeed. I did not comment on the Calabar habits that you asked me about, because I don't dwell on speculation. if I don't see, he did not elaborate on it.
No, he didn't. I just
Yeah, so we will not.
we'll skip that.
Yeah, we'll talk about what we know, and it is. He talks about hiring private cars. I mean, limousine. When he talks about private cars, when he came to Minnesota here, he rode in a limousine. You saw the pictures.
Yeah, not only that, paying private bills.
No, let's talk about that first.
The limousine, yes, okay.
Because when Sako came to town here,
you picked him up at the airport
with my Lagos car.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I went with my own family car and picked him up from the airport.
And he was very appreciative.
And he was very appreciative. When I took him to the hotel, there was no security detail and all, because when people, the way you prove to people is how you manage the trust that they have given you. The 1 penny or the 1 cent or $1 that they have given to you on behalf of this revolution. Is this how you're going to spend it? Because I could have gone and rented a limousine and got hired security people to line the streets and pick Sako from the airport, and they'll be putting the alarm and driving and pay the people's money. But that money has a better use.
Yes.
Because we picked him up from the airport, got him to the hotel, and he still took care of the people's business.
Yes. Yes.
This idea now that Sako, anywhere he wants to go, you have to hire a limousine, hire private security, and all those things. You start putting things in people's head that are not supposed to be there, because we are still fighting to have a country.
Yes. I every single thing you said adds up to this next statement, okay? Mm-hmm. And I think the arrogance of that letter, which of the document that we read, the arrogance of what he said, and the claim to being a divine ruler, mm-hmm. all come to this statement that this man said. This writer said, acting President Sako has transformed himself into a cult master, so to speak, expecting Southern Cameroonians to bow in homage.
There you go. That's what somebody is saying. It is not us, but he is seeing exactly what we are seeing, and we are saying this is not good for the revolution. It's not even good for him.
No, it's not good for him. Let me just finish. See, this is another one he said, style. He said, Sako's leadership style is indeed appalling. We have recorded a sea of unilateral decisions without approval from competent departments of his immediate staff. There's a plethora of such decisions. We gathered that the creation of, I don't want to go into this, but you see the first statement.
Yeah, but you see the problem in that statement, not the problem, but to elucidate what that statement is saying. Because we don't. If you ask me, is it Sako running the interim government or it is Anu? I can't tell, because Anu comes sometimes and runs some of the things that he runs on air, and then you come to find out that probably Sako himself did not even know about it. So you don't, and when you are the head of an organization and things like that are happening, and they continue to happen as we are speaking, and you cannot address them, then you begin to ask yourself, what kind of a leader are you?
Well,
how can you be a head of a family and everybody in that family is doing whatever they want?
Well, what I wanted to, there's a part here where he says that he goes for months, 4 months he mentioned, with no meeting, no cabinet meeting. So, Chris, I know he's on the air every day. He's just winging it. He's just, in fact, let me say another thing. The YouTube channel that Chris Ano goes and talks to is Chris Ano's YouTube. So if there are any funds coming, and there are funds coming, they go to Chris Ano, acting as the secretary of communication for Embezzlement. You know what I'm saying? So people are out there for other reasons other than, I'm sure if you ask Chris Ano to write his own piece, I don't know that his piece will be different from what Sako just wrote.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he says it on air. You don't have to write it again. I mean, you just have to go and watch his videos, and he says it. I mean, in one of those outings that he came out thanking people from a plethora of letters that he has received and phone calls that he has got, encouraging him not to resign and things like that. So you can watch it. He doesn't have to write.
So So that is in response to your AP. Okay, that's what he wrote, and I'm glad you the contributions in understanding, because our people need to understand what he's saying. Okay,
And before you move on, I think it is important to emphasize what we try to do on this show. We don't have anything personal against Sako or the interim government or whatever. But what we have to do here is to put things in context. When our leaders come out and say things, maybe you just hear them and read them and move on. But what we try to do it here is to break it down and contextualize it.
Yes.
So that everybody should understand, and then everybody should be better prepared to face La République with a lot of information, or face distractors with a lot of information as we move forward.
Yes, there's another thing here. This gentleman also talked about them trying to to contact Sako, and he never picks up phone calls. He does not respond to anybody, and like I just said, we talked about how and these are people who are very close to Sako that tell us that he is in constant communication with Musonge. Musonge is not a separatist. Musonge is one of those Judas Iscariots in our struggle. Okay?
He is not in the struggle. He is in La République.
No, when I say he's a Judas Iscariot, you know what I mean. He's a sellout, because he's one of us and he's part of the enemy. So he's a turncoat. And if the acting president of Ambazonia is in constant communication with him, what are they talking about? And I'm saying that because here's what this gentleman wrote. Acting President Sako ill-advised decision to suspend the December Ghost Towns operation prompted many around the world, including our London bureau chief, to start thinking that the Ambazonian leader has been compromised. Monday ghost towns have become the most important achievement of the Southern Cameroon Revolution and a de facto trademark. It is hard to say what prompted Dr. Sako to make such a move. Are the wheels moving in your head now?
Yeah.
Okay. Acting President Sako is not an accomplished Southern Cameroonian deep within the Ambazonian diaspora community in the US, and this is creating a lot of alacrity in the struggle. In suspending the ghost towns, he went all alone to do it. He posted a message on the cabinet forum stating, "Tomorrow I will be making a speech, and in that speech I will announce the suspension of ghost towns for the month of December." 3 senior cabinet members, Chris Ano, John Ayawan, and Caleb Bongo, advised that it was going to be a costly mistake to suspend ghost towns, and he shouldn't do it. Acting President Sako ignored them, did not say a word, and went ahead and announced his decision the following day, and the backlash was unimaginable. Our correspondent in the United States of America confirmed that even the Ambazonian Self-Defense Council, ASC, and Ground Zero commanders were not aware of Acting President Sako's decision. He only reversed course and rescinded that decision when he realized Ambazonians decided to ignore him and stage the worst ghost town ever. So here's another thing that he mentioned. He said one of the major failures of the Sako administration centers on the Cho Ayaba London oil deal. Southern Cameroonians thought rightfully that the London scandal had provided them with an opportunity to put an end to the Cho Ayaba ADF distraction. By some strange happening, Acting President Sako came up with a letter expressing solidarity with Cho Ayaba. Again, this was another unilateral decision that left everyone deep within the interim government scratching their heads. The problems are endless. So, with all of this, does it make you start wondering? Not only, I mean, the man has said he didn't have interest enough to be given all this responsibility. That's what he said in his piece. But does it make you? Well, we also know about the Musonge thing. Even the way he handles if he's acting on behalf of Mosonge in suspending some of these ghost towns, you know how hard La Republique has struggled to end this ghost town. Think of what they've been doing in Boya.
Yeah, and
so does it surprise you? Does it make you think maybe it's not just his lack of interest? Maybe it's not just the influence of Mosonge, because even the way he handles the Mosonge advices are really tactless. Do you think it may have something to do with his own background, his own education, actually? And I'm saying that because in the struggle of the people of Southern Cameroon to become free people, education has always been important. Because when you go back and you want to argue and say, why did Foncha do this? How could Foncha go to Tico and they're handing his country to La Republique and he just stand there? How? And they would say, oh, no, those were just primary school teachers, remember? Mm-hmm. Those were just primary school teachers. They did not have 56 years after that with a lot of PhDs and a lot of education. Should we still be dealing with that kind of thing here now? And I'm saying that because there's an article here that was written and published by someone in Canada. I want to read a little bit of it, okay? And he says, the president of Ambazonia is Mr. Samuel Ikome Sako, and he styles himself Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, claiming to have a Doctor of Theology from Therapon University, USA. Read below and see for yourself the fakery of this university and the accreditation mill board that backs it, and judge for yourself. Now, answer the question. If you know your leaders, the president of your new nation is an academic fraud. Okay? Mm-hmm. He says, American Accrediting Association of Theological Institutions is an organization that has been described as an accreditation mill, a diplomatic mill, also known as a degree mill. It's a company or organization that claims to be higher education institution but provides illegitimate academic degrees and diplomas for a fee. These degrees may claim to have credit for relevant life experience, but should not be confused with legitimate prior learning assessment programs. Now that's what he wrote. And I took time and I went to see what Therapon University itself says. Therapon University says, in 2001, the government of the U.S. Virgin Islands approved and authorized Therapon University to issue all types of degrees, including but not limited to theology, faith-based counseling, and Christian education. This is what Therapon University says of its degrees. Therapon University is unable to guarantee acceptance of its degrees for employment. Corporations are not required to recognize degrees from Therapon University. You know what I'm saying? To reach a decision concerning our school, you should determine your ultimate goal in keeping a degree. Our mission is to train born-again believers to serve the Lord in some phase of ministry. Okay? So, and I don't want to go to Dr. Ngu Focha because he was an honorary degree. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that is your doctor. And that is what is being written. You and I did not write this. It's published out there. So do you think that in after 57 years of Jongu, Foncha, and Muna, all of them being excused that they were just primary school teachers, and on the other side were French, those who were dealing with them were French lawyers, and I mean I don't want to even go into their education. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So should we still be that disadvantaged this day and time? I know there's a lot that I poured there, but see if you can sift through and please inform on what other people are writing.
Yeah, let me start first of all by talking about the communication piece, which you mentioned before you came to the Therapon University.
Yes.
And I have experienced that firsthand.
You've experienced what?
Sako not responding.
Oh, okay.
After giving you an assignment,
mm-hmm.
and then you go and do that assignment, and they're reporting it back to him, you don't get feedback. You don't get it, they don't respond. So I know, I have experienced that. I know people who have experienced that. And this unilateral making of decisions, it is like the disbanding of the DOD. That's how he made that decision.
Okay.
And then when people started questioning it, then he started to say, well, the DOD wanted to create a coup d'etat, because they were against announcing my appointment as acting interim president. I felt threatened, or he felt that they were trying to make a coup, so that is why he disbanded it. And then he made up a lot of other stories, because they have to make up these stories. When I say they, I'm talking about him and Chris Anno, to justify how they want to convince you people to accept and believe in what they are doing. So he does these things unilaterally, and then when they backfire, then he tries to justify that. And I don't know how you can imagine that in this current situation where we are, our leader will not be picking phone calls or will not be returning phone calls. Remember, every single time you wake up and pick up your phone, there's something happening somewhere that needs immediate attention, that you need to respond to. And then to have somebody at the helm that people call and call and call and call, and he does not respond the calls. He does not respond the phone calls, the emails, the text messages, nothing. How can you be leading a revolution with everything changing in every single minute, and you don't communicate with the people that you are supposed to be working for? I say this because even one of the people that a lot of people out here believe Sako talks to that person on a daily basis has confided in me that people call, and he is just ashamed to tell those people the truth. But it is that by guy said it somewhere.
Yes.
That the reason some of these things have been tucked under the rock is because of, for the sake of unity. But what we tell our people is that unity that you are trying to preserve, at the end of the day, we will all lose everything that we so cherish, because we believe we don't want to ruffle certain feathers here, certain feathers there. And that is what we are not going to do on this show. We are going to come out and tell you what is affecting the revolution, so that you know. And you will not claim that, oh, I did not know this. People are going to come and attack us that we are tribalistic, we are this, we are that. But I believe in this revolution and nothing else. And I'm looking for somebody who is going to pour their heart and soul and not exploit this revolution for their own selfish gain. Now, talking about education. If you have the education that it takes, you would then understand some of the things that we are talking about.
Yes.
You would then be able to know that, well, if I find myself in this kind of a position and I cannot deliver, my education tells me that this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, and this is what I need to do. If your education teaches you that it is by divine intervention that you find yourself here, and you should just believe in the word of God, because this is a God-ordained revolution, and that you don't have to do anything, then you do some of the things that we see that is happening. You get what I'm saying?
No, I'm understanding you. I'm following.
Yeah.
I wonder what you see. He says, I can proudly assert here and now. No, you see, he says this hand. You say yours truly out of here is fighting against the hand that brought me here. You know, the hand is in capital.
He says yes.
Which is the divine thing you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
They are people who fall to this who believe in this dogmatic thing, and I have seen in other forums, and people came, they come there. I'm talking because even yesterday in one of our forums, this divine thing came up, and it is ordained, and you cannot be opposing. If you're opposing Sako, you are opposing the hand of God that put him in that position. That is not the God that I worship. Because the God that I worship is the God of the truth.
It's the God of the truth, and it's a God who says that he does his work through humans.
Yes. Because even in our native gods, not the European God that people claim to worship, because you have to speak the truth when you get into that shrine. You have to speak the truth. So any God or divine thing that people come and talk about, when people are not speaking the truth to you and to the revolution, and they are not doing what they are supposed to do, then you are not worshiping God. You are worshiping an idol. You are worshiping Sako, because God says, beware those who are going to mislead one of these my sheep.
Beware of false prophets.
Yes.
Let me say another thing about this whole thing about education. You know, we've had these documents for a long time. We never really brought them out because you have some very good performers out there that don't have degrees.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But to be honest with you, you know, the other day we went and we were in our last show, we're out there asking Weber to help. That's basically what we're asking Weber to do, to come and do what he's been prepared for. It's not even us, because you can see the zeal and the drive in Weber to do that work, but there's something holding him back, and I think we're telling him that nothing should be holding you back. No. But if you ask me, I don't know what Weber's educational level is, but I just look at the man and his performance and like, do the job. And that is very prevalent in America. You know that. Now in America, if you go get a job, there's certain jobs that will ask you to bring your qualification, but there's certain jobs that you come and sit and have an interview, they can already gauge from your interview that you know, and they give you the job. If you do it well, you keep climbing until you become the CEO or the president of the company without the academic qualifications. But your performance does it. I think the reason, like I said, we've had these documents for a long time, and we felt like it's not that important, because but when things start building like that, we really need to bring it up and say that, you know, there's a reason why there are grades of studies. There's a reason why you have first school living certificate, secondary school living certificate, GCE O level, A level, first degree. There's a reason. There's certain levels of knowledge, and in that knowledge, you're accessing not just information. You're also accessing how to use information. You're accessing a lot of other things that bring the progress that we've seen in the world and in other organizations. And part of the reasons why we're beaten so badly, you know, can you imagine that if Foncha and Indele would have brought the revolution that our youth brought in 2017, if that revolution was brought in 1960, you think we'll still be here now?
No, we'll be a free people.
We'll be a free people.
Because the most popular option when they went to United Nations was for us to be independent.
Yes.
That is what the people wanted on the ground.
Yes.
And the French and the British, they knew that.
They knew that. But they also knew that Foncha and these people they did not know about. I don't know if they knew about other revolutions that have taken place in the world and their rights to own their own land. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, and all they need to do was tell our people revolt. At that time, the UN was still involved, so the UN will have to deal with us then, rather than come and deal with us now and ignoring us, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of the first acts of the leadership in jail was to declare that the interim government is made up of 5 arms, whereas the temporary constitution, which was adopted by the Restoration Council, talks of 3. The leadership in jail endorses a clandestine so-called parliament formed out of spite for your interim government. Country coordinators are supposed to be subordinate of the executive branch of government, not some parliament. How do you sit behind bars and endorse a conference whose initiators and financiers nobody knows? How do you sit in jail, communicate using pen names, and yet want the people to believe that your communication is secured? If your communication is secured, unmask your identities before holding meetings behind bars. Ladies and gentlemen, as I was about to come live to you, I learned that somebody who is certainly pushing the agenda from behind bars, has put out an audio clip in which I am said to be disrespectful to the interim president. I wasn't going to go into the details of what transpired in the meeting, in that meeting the audio is referring to. But because they thought I was coming out to talk about it and leaked the audio to preempt me, I will talk a little bit about it, so that if you have listened to it or when you listen to it, the context and perspective are clearly understood. In that meeting, since discussions about merging the two conferences met a deadlock, one of the leaders in J moved a motion that we should just vote for this APNC conference to go on. While the vote was being counted or conducted, I posed a question to our leader, the president, asking what would become of cabinet position. Which decision was going to be final? Is it theirs or cabinet? That from J or cabinet? As you may have heard from that audio, if it is not edited out, the president responded that henceforth, going forward, because he was talking to the 5 branches of government which did not exist, that any decision from there was going to be final. I followed up with a question to the president, and I asked, are you going to be ruling from behind bars now? Again, you will hear him in the audio responding that even Mandela ruled from behind bars. At that juncture, I made it very clear that we will not be taking decisions from behind bars, because not everybody goes to jail and comes out uncorrupted.
What I want us to discuss right now is the challenge. That Chris Anu is saying that he is ready to disobey the president, Sako Ayok Tabe, because he's in jail. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, when these things come and collide, then we have to go back to the genesis.
Yes.
Because remember, we have always said that when every time you put a government in place, then people start to look for power
yes.
and interest.
Yes.
Protecting my interest.
Yes.
When Anu came out on that piece, he said Sako had advised that they should merge the two conferences. I think.
The conferences. Yes.
Yes. So the APNC and whatever they were trying to do, and his question to, according to him, to Sako was, Mr. President, then what is going to happen to the cabinet?
No, who makes the final decision? Is it you or the cabinet?
No, that was later on.
Oh, okay.
Because that thing is still playing in my mind.
Okay.
The first question that he asked, according to him, and that is audio, is that what is going to happen to the cabinet? So to Anu, it is not how do we work together to move this revolution forward. It is what it is the cabinet.
And that is what Sako was actually thinking.
Yes.
That what do we do to move the revolution forward? Should we allow these competing things out there, or should we always try to come together? And
competing things that shows the international community how divided we are and scares people away from coming to support what we are. That is why our people have been dying and nobody has come out to just condemn what La Republic is doing to our people because of all these divisions.
Yeah, we don't have a process by which people can help.
Yes. So he looks at that and he says, no, you people, and it is not like this is something that they are the ones who are supposed to do it. Things have been going wrong left and right
for a long time,
and people have been screaming, please let's get together and do something. What they did last summer was in response to what Cho Ayaba was going to Canada. And then they hurriedly scrambled and did something that they were doing, some kind of a reconciliation conference in Maryland, and it failed. Some people here in Minnesota said it was going to fail because of how that thing was put in place. And people almost killed them here because they are so short-sighted. they believe in their IG, they love their IG.
No, they are
that
cultists.
they cannot even see beyond their own noses some of the mistakes that the IG is doing.
Yes.
So that is what Sako was saying.
Yes.
And this gentleman does not care about the revolution. He can come out 20 times a day and tell you to share. Oh, I'm bringing some great news and this and that. He is looking for traffic for his channel.
Yes.
That is what he's
looking for traffic for his
because
channel.
if he really cares about the revolution, he would listen to that kind of a thing that somebody says. Because I would be working to see how do we bring people together. What is it that is going to move the revolution forward? And I will not be worried about what is going to happen to the cabinet.
I think you should also mention that when APNC came out, you hear him arguing that, we had thought about another conference coming up in March or April, but we're thinking that the local government area. You see, they're always coming up with their conference when somebody else comes up with it.
Like Chuayabadi,
yes,
which I just referenced.
Yes,
right. Because we have said this thing that these are people who are very comfortable where they are. They are not visionary. They are not proactive. They don't do anything for this revolution. And we have said that time and time again. And then when somebody steps up to do something, then you say, we were planning to do this, we're doing that, when you don't have any clue about anything.
And that's the same thing that took place with the county by county thing. When the county by county idea came up, they rushed in with LGA, blah, 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 and it ruined that whole thing.
Yes. So that is not the only thing that he said, because he talked about that, and then he went ahead now to talk about the fact that how can Sako sit in prison and then wants to give them directives? Because remember, these are people who had said, well, we are just here. Sako, for example, that he was the interim acting, and he was just there because Sako had been captured, and he is interim acting while Sako is acting. Now, when you hear things like that, and you see them start questioning Sako's mental capability, whether he's been tortured by the Republic and his decision-making capabilities have been diminished, and just dehumanizing and discrediting the guy. Why? Because power. They have tasted power and they want to keep that power. And it goes to that genesis of what we have been saying, that any time you put in a government in a revolution and not a revolutionary leader, then people start to fight to protect what they believe they own in the revolution, instead of fighting to win that revolution.
You have made it very clear that we will not be taking decisions from behind bars, because not everybody goes to jail and comes out uncorrupted. We all remember the case of Agobala. At this point, the interim president said I was interrupting him and personally cut off my line.
Let me tell you where that argument about questioning Sako's either mental state or his loyalty to the struggle really falls apart. If the president came out saying something that is counter-revolutionary, then you can start asking questions like that. You know what I'm saying? But the man is the one who is right. Here's where he's right. He talked about let these two conferences, one which is a fake one and the real one being the APNC, because that was one came out, then they tried to bring a fake one to also play.
No. Let them take that the idea they are still thinking about and bring it to what is already getting in place.
Yes. So if the president behind bars was arguing against something that works for the revolution, you would start questioning. But the man is the one who is correct, and they who are outside are wrong. Just like you said, that they are arguing for power, and Sako is saying no, for the revolution, let's bring people together. There's another one that he mentioned. Sako also said, instead of having two television stations running, please work to get one, because instead of spending, I'm holding back on the price because Chris Anu is a very big liar, because he lies all the time. he lies that ABC costs less than. No. First of all, ABC is being hosted by the same satellite company that hosts SCBC. So, and all the information about setting ABC came from SCBC. So he's lying. He is lying. If you look at the quality or the availability of ABC, you will know that they can't even do it. If you listen, he said, "Oh, we pay less," and then he's on one side arguing that he was asking for $3,000 to be given so they can pay people. You see where the whole nonsense comes. So Sako is saying, bring the two televisions together, work to bring two together, and he thinks that Sako is losing it.
Yeah, because he has to go there and tell his worshippers, this plethora of people who call him, and tell him not to resign.
So yes, I was indeed resigning from the interim government. However, I have now reconsidered that decision, humbled, very, very humbled indeed, by the thousands of public and private messages, phone calls, and audios you send to me asking me to stay. Your outcries have indeed been very, very overwhelming to me. I never for once thought that what I was doing for this struggle meant so much, and this impactful to so many of you out there.
You have to ask yourself, if people lie to you about very little things, what else are they lying to you about? This SCBC thing and ABC, we have had a show here where we have argued and people have insulted. They claim that the reason that they decided to form ABC is because SCBC is not owned, and he said it, that it is owned by some of the cabinet members in prison.
Yeah, he says that.
But this feud isn't all about a conference. It is also about gain. I mean gain and profit are the dead bodies of Ambazonians. Another point of contention at these meetings has been the plot by the leadership in J to do away with this ABC Amber TV, forcing it to merge with SCBC TV at all costs, in spite of the knowledge that ABC is publicly owned and SCBC is a private business. Now, this is what Ambazonians are not aware of. SCBC is a property of some investors in this interim government, including some leaders in J.
I don't know who the cabinet members are.
Yeah, and that's one of the things
that's not true.
Said. And then he said SCBC is controlled. They have said it's controlled by Milan, it's owned by Milan, and this and that, and they forget some of the resolutions that we agreed on in the fourth conclave.
Yes,
that is one. And the second thing that they did not want to be part of SCBC is because they did not want people like you and I, our show being aired on SCBC, when we are out there criticizing them. Because why? They believe they are the ones paying the SCBC bills, and nobody should come on SCBC and criticize them. They did not want Akwanga, Ebenezer, to come on SCBC, because I think, is it Gili Gili?
Yes, it's Gili Gili that did the interview. No, Gili, I think she did another interview.
Yes, but Akwanga was on SCBC, and they said they cannot have people like Akwanga coming on SCBC when the IG is paying the bill.
No, it's not the IG paying the bill. It's the Ambazonian people.
But that is what they said. I'm quoting them.
Yeah,
here.
I know. I understand.
I'm not explaining anything. I'm just quoting them. And my question to them is that because Akwanga disagrees with them, does that make him less of a Southern Cambodian than them?
No.
And should Akwanga not be able to come on a platform that is being paid by the people to air his own views on how he thinks the revolution should be prosecuted?
Because that's how we're going to select the people that lead us.
Yes. So these are the reasons that they came and lied to you. These are the facts why they decided that they wanted to go and create their own TV station. And we said, this money, running parallel TV station, spending all this money when this money could be used for other things on ground zero. And it comes now to that critical question of leadership. Sako, as a visionary leader and as a resourceful leader, looks at that and said, no, we cannot be depleting the tiny resources that we have. the sacrifices that our people are making and putting in their hard-earned money, and we are taking it and just squandering the money left and right because we want to satisfy Chris Anu's ego. He has not told you how much money he spent on the radio, on the iRadio that he created. How much money did he spend on it, and where is that radio today? Now he is talking about this ABC thing, and this ABC is only Chris Anu. That is it. And all of that thing is even done on Facebook.
Yes.
It's only Chris Anu. So are you telling me that that is the way you want people to use your money? When you contribute that money for the revolution, these people that you call, I love my IG, is that how you want your money to be spent?
Siseko Ayok Tabe, even behind bars, was correct, and they are wrong. You know, the other thing they talked about, you know, when you started talking about ABC, I picked this document because if you look at these documents, these are the documents of incorporation of ABC. Mm-hmm. If you look through this document, you don't see anything Ambazonian here that is owned by the Ambazonian people. It's owned by the people whose names are here. Because these are the people who have the right to modify it, to change it into anything that they want. Mm-hmm. So, and like I said in one of my...
let me read it, because it is good that our people should know who the name of this corporation is called what? It is called the Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation, which is what is called ABC. And the incorporated number is D190-34867 in the state of Maryland. And the undersigned, Sebastian Mbariku George Fon, Dr. Herring Mokube, whose addresses is, and this is the addresses of the people. These are the people who have undersigned this thing. And the director, the sole director
is Chris Anu.
Yes. So there is nowhere here that says that this thing is owned by
the Ambazonian people who are paying the bill.
The only thing Ambazonia here
is the name.
The name. And the people who own it is Sebastian Mbariku, George Fon, and Dr. Because we have the Ambazonian Foundation Incorporated,
yes,
which is a registered 501c organization belonging to the Ambazonian people.
Yes.
So if these people were honest that they wanted this ABC TV to be part of that Ambazonian project, mm-hmm, this incorporation should have been done under that articles of incorporation.
Yes, with the board of directors that now is the responsible the responsible party to this organization, but they didn't do that.
So these are the facts that we try to bring to you. The SCBC has a board of directors that was recommended at the 4th conclave. So there is no single person at SCBC who can sit down and make those decisions. And people keep asking these questions every day. Oh, who owns SCBC? Please, let us be educating ourselves. Let us not just pick things that people say in flying and then believe that those are the truths. These facts are out there. These documents have been on social media, and I guarantee you a lot of you people have not taken the time to read it.
No, they haven't. One of the things that we need to say is that, you know, our revolution will be won by human beings, meaning each and every one of us, and each and every one of us have the opportunity to save our revolution. So when you become a cultist, responding to Reverend Chris Anu, and he is a Reverend Chris Anu, let me say this part. Just the contradictions in that one broadcast that you've been referring to, if you look at it and you see the contradiction, they start questioning Chris Anu's own education also. Mm-hmm. You know, but Chris Anu's own education says that he ended at Kasbambili, which is what? Is this 11th grade education? Is it 11th grade education? And I'm not saying, like I've already said, I don't want to make it like education is all of it. But when people start showing some very bad judgment and bad analysis and bad actions that affects a whole nation, I think it's time for us to start looking very closely and saying, you know, Bill Gates started Microsoft. It's a multi-billion-dollar company in that dominates the world. But Bill Gates doesn't have a college degree. You know what I'm saying? So So knowledge doesn't only come through one particular channel, but when people display such incompetence even to tell the truth, then you need to be very critical of those people, because this struggle is not a struggle for one man. It's not a church. It's not a church. We don't have any theologians to come and tell us, to come and give us dogmas. And so, like Roger has been saying, part of our reasons for this show is that we come and we discuss our issues, so that we are making decisions that are informed. Anything else you have to add, Paul?
Yeah, but you talked about the church, and it is always important to look at where people are coming from and what they do, because we have always said that most of the people leading us in the interim government, because we are not against the interim government.
No,
we are criticizing the people who are leading us on what they are doing. It is their actions that we are looking, not the individuals. So these people have a mindset that it is the hand of God and because they are pastors, they believe that they can come into church and tell their congregations whatever they want to say, and the congregants will believe. So Chris Anu can come there and spew out all these lies, because what he believes that these are his church members. They believe in what he is saying, and they are going to go out there and repeat it and believe it, and then all of a sudden all of those things are going to become fact. So the background from which these people come from is actually influencing how they relate or operate with us, and how they deliver some of the things that they want to tell us, even though it is not true. They believe that if they keep saying it, then we'll internalize it and believe it. But I want to say this: all of us, everybody in this revolution owes, especially those of us out here, owes those people on ground zero the truth, and nothing but the truth. If we don't succeed in this enterprise, let it be that we put in everything that we could and we fell short. Let us not fall short because some people somewhere decided to deceive our people, and our people fell for that deceit, and as a result we could not meet our goals.
I don't want you to finish your statement before I say what I want to say, okay? And this thing will just occur to me. I think we should always remind ourselves and remind the people on the ground and remind those who want this struggle to continuously be hosted in the West that most of these people are very disconnected to what is happening on the ground. And that is the reason why I personally keep thinking that this struggle, the leadership of our struggle, needs to go back to the people who started it on the ground. And I'm appealing to the people on the ground to start looking for mechanisms to organize themselves to win this struggle. And then they have their brothers and their sisters and their uncles and all the diaspora to come to, like the SDF did and like the SCNC. You should know that the SCNC accomplished a lot by working with the people in the diaspora. And the people in the diaspora do two things. They provide you funding, and they may have ideas, but those ideas are for you to collect and then put them together with the facts that you know on the ground to succeed. The two organizations that have succeeded on the ground were never based in the United States. They were based on the ground, and they used the people in the United States to get the only thing that we can provide, because we cannot provide leadership that is needed on the ground.
Yeah, so the other thing that Chris Anu said was they have set out to discredit the ANPC or APNC. And I have believed, like many people, that people have a right to get together. No, people should not come and ask for permission from somebody to be able to get together. And in trying to discredit the organizers of that conference, they are trying to scare you people, to make you people believe that the organizers of that conference, they are sponsored by La Republique. He even went ahead to tell you that some of the La Republique colonels who are coming to abduct and kill people and put them in planes that Ataran Jipol has hired. They flew to Chicago, and their plane was directed to Minnesota, and they landed in Minnesota and took a taxi from Minnesota to Philadelphia. From Minnesota, where you and I sit, we have not seen, we have not heard of any plane that was supposed to land in Chicago, and they made that plane go over Wisconsin and come and land in Minnesota. That is one. And then the distance from Minnesota to Philadelphia is 2,000 kilometers.
Give it in terms of driving hours, pa.
Oh my God. In terms of driving hours, if you are driving here,
I think it's like 22 hours.
no, it's about 15 to 17 hours. If you are driving here, not if you are driving back home,
And then during the winter,
yes.
you may not even get there in a day.
So there is no taxi driver that you are not even, if you are a taxi driver in Minnesota, you can't even go and drive in Chicago because you don't have a permit to drive there. So these are the kinds of lies.
That makes you start questioning so much about these people. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously I don't even want to over-labor the part that how did they find themselves to be leading this revolution, and then saying that they've planted their coconut and nobody's going to come and take it from them because it's God ordained.
However they found themselves, like I said, we are not going to question that. But if you are sitting there and you think that you owe the people something, please do right by the people. And if you know that you're incapable to serve to the best of your abilities, please do us a favor and step aside.
Well, why are you giving them that honor to be the ones who step aside? I think our appeal is that something needs to happen. It's not going to come from them. Chris Ano enjoys his position. Obviously, Sako enjoys everything about his position and the blessings that he's had. So we need to save the revolution. You and I, our job is to do what we're doing now. I think some other people's job, especially the people who got together and said, let's put Sako there because he's from the Southwest and forget about competence. Those people need to do something.